another one of Shenae and Jannita's weekly videos. This week we're talking about a particular part that is attached to your folding saw that, say you are travelling around Australia, out in rural areas where there's no silky dealer, few little shops either, and can't get one shipped out to you. It is probably a requirement as long as...
We've never thought about this before. Like, we often suggest you carry a spare blade because sometimes certain situations can cause you to break a blade.
Yes.
So that's annoying. But like Shenae says, if you're in a rural area where you can't get to a silky dealer, you can't get a new blade. So then you're short your saw, and they're so handy for so many uses. So it's a big problem.
So we had a customer the other day ring up and wants to see what he can use to replace the screw in his folding saw because he has lost it amongst long grass or in the back of the ute, and it's impossible to find.
So with use, actually using the saw, it will vibrate and it will cause the screws to loosen. So if you don't notice and tighten them back up again, it's actually not difficult to have those screws fall out and therefore lose them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So Jannita will explain a little bit more actually, because...
The problem this customer had is, as we sort of mentioned, he was not in an area where he could go to a dealer that sells Silky to buy new screws. So we sort of thought, oh, okay, we'll just go down to your local hardware and grab some screws. But to make it a bit easy, we thought we'll go down to the nut and bolt shop and we'll find out what size screws you need for a big boy. Because a lot of people out there have the big boy. They use it for camping, for any sort of off-road activity that they do. So it's a very popular saw for people to have in Australia. So we thought we'll go down and find out what a generic sort of setup you need as far as screws go for the big boy. And what we found was quite interesting, and we didn't realise that it is a problem should you lose your big boy screws. And there's a few of the Silky folding saws that have the same screw as the big boy. So we're just going to generalise today and talk about the big boy. So I've got my notes here so I don't get it wrong. So what we learned was that you need a 6mm screw to fit into the big boy. It has a 1mm pitch, and it's also a standard metric course, which is the thread. But the problem that a big boy has, and Shenae is going to take the screws off the big boy, and I'm going to show you one we did earlier, like a cooking show, something we prepared earlier, is the actual nut side of the screws for a big boy and a pocket boy has a captive nut. So the problem is, if you go and get a screw, it has to actually be the circumference of that outer area of the captive nut, because that goes all the way through both sides of the handle and the blade and holds it in place, and then it has a split spring washer that pushes against the screw side and holds it all together. Then the next problem you have is the captive nut side actually has these little sort of shaped divots in there that if Shenae holds up that big boy handle, you'll notice on
this side,
that side, there's little like, what do we call them?
They're like little bumps. There's 4 different on each side.
Risen pieces of metal, shaped in a circle, that these little shapes fit into and stop this side of the nut from rotating when you're screwing the screw into it, or in fact when you're using it. So it's actually a complex little setup, and the nut and bolt shop said they can't get these captive nuts. So the problem is, we got the best we could, and it held it together, but it had a wobble in it. So you're not going to effectively be able to use that saw properly unless you've got these screws. So if you have a folding saw, particularly a big boy, or really any of the folding saws that you use when you go out and you're going to be out, overnight or even longer, you really need to think about possibly getting yourself an extra set of screws just as backup. Now,
and keep it in a safe place so you don't
keep it in a safe place. Well, they're not big, so obviously you're going to have to remember where you stick them, but cost-wise...
Yeah, cost-wise, it's only like $5.50 or something like that. It's
so well worth the extra cost,
Exactly, because we don't want you going out and then you lose your screw, then it's all over Red Rover and you have to wait ages to get them.
Yeah, like this customer we had on Tuesday, he was like, I can't be without the saw. I use it, for firewood, I use it for clearing tracks, he uses it for so many things. He's like, I need to get it back together. So it's really made us conscious to let you know, get yourself an extra set of screws and maybe even an extra blade, so that you've got that saw ready to go when you need it, when you're off-road and not near us.
Yeah, it only takes a couple of seconds to replace it as well, so it's not like you're losing time.
Yeah, that's right. You just use one of Silky's beautiful key rings.
Or a 10-cent coin if you haven't scored yourself one yet.
No.
But that's all from us. Cleaning wise as well, we suggest the Easy Cleanings product to get rid of the sap, protect your blade. Yeah, we'll clean. And then we suggest like lanolin, sheep oil as well, just keep it from building up the rust basically. But that's all from us.
You have a great week and we'll see you next week.
See ya! When replacing a blade as well, if you notice that when you're taking the back screw out, it gets a little bit sticky, the easy cleaning product is a great way to just clean that sap away, so it makes it more efficient and more easy to get your blade out. Usually just suggest get an old rag and then just spray it on the rag as well, let it sink in, and just use your finger and just clean that blade around. Like you can probably see it, just it's so quick and easy just to get rid of all the sap inside that little washer, and then away you go, you've got a nice clean blade.